Hi guys, welcome back. Today we're going to visit with a YouTuber named Vic Hansen. The title of this YouTuber's video that we're going to be watching today is called I'm Tired of Being Fat. I was looking for videos like I always do, and I stumbled across Vic's video right here. I watched the first 45 seconds to maybe a minute or so, and I just couldn't get over the amount of pain that I feel like this guy is dealing with. So I wanted to share it with you. Because sometimes we feel like our problems are the biggest problems in the world, and we kind of forget that other people are going through very similar problems, or maybe even problems that might even be tougher than ours. So I'm going to go ahead and pause my voice. Let's listen to what Vic has to say on why he's tired of being fat.
Hey guys, I'm Vic, and as you can see, I have a serious weight problem. I'm at 170 kilograms right now. I feel sick just saying that. I avoid looking in the mirror as much as possible because I just get disgusted. But I'm tired of being fat. I want to change. I want to be able to go hiking without having to worry that my goddamn knees will give out. I want to go to the beach and enjoy that goddamn sun without worrying that others are as disgusted as I am. I want to change, not for others, for myself. Years I spent without any reason, any real desire. Yes, I was uncomfortable, but I wasn't that uncomfortable. At least I knew what I had. Who knew what would come if I tried to change now? So I just never did. I hated my situation, but didn't take any effort to change it. But that changed. You see, when I was young, I grew up with pretty much no dreams, no hopes. I had no desires for the future. I wanted everything to be smooth, sailing, without effort, without having to think. But that changed somewhat recently. I finally thought about what I really want from the future. What do I want my life to look like? What do I want to do? What do I want? And I don't want this. So I have to change, because sitting around won't change anything. Only when I change will my life change. I'm scared of the future, you know. What if I can't change? What if I can't amount to anything? What if I will never be anything better than what you see right now? This anxiety has been with me for so many years. But finally, I have a drive, something I want, something I wish to achieve, something I can put my effort towards. Finally, I'm willing to see more than the easy escapism of doing and being nothing. Of course, it won't be easy to achieve. One time before in my life, I managed to go down, I think it was 20, 25 kilograms. It was during my university days. I did that in 1.5 or 2 years. I had just stumbled over the low carb and keto diet, and I thought, got nothing to lose. So I tried it out. And at the beginning I really liked it. It worked. I mean, yeah, okay, I felt sick for like half a week, but after that it was good. It worked, but later on I hated it. The reason for that was I ate like 3 things every single day, of every week, of every month. Yes, it worked, but boy, it was restrictive. So restrictive. No bread, no potatoes, no rice, no pasta, no doughy stuff, no sugar. That was actually good, helped my skin a lot. But I still hated it. So I had gone down to something between 140 and 135, and I thought I could hold it. I could not, because right around the time I stopped, my scale broke. And I think that was a death blow. Because now I had lost the diet that pushed my weight down, and at the same time I lost the only tool I had to really check what my weight was. So I went up to 170 without even really noticing. And once I did notice and got a new scale, well, the damage was already done. That was a good bit over a year ago. I tried to push it down, but I really didn't want to do low carb again. I regret not putting enough attention to it back then, slipping back into this terrible weight. But keto wasn't sustainable, not for me. Maybe for others, it's perfect, but for me, no, I didn't.
So I'm glad he didn't keep up that horrible inner hatred for himself for too long. He kind of mellowed out here a couple minutes in. But I'm sure you guys noticed the first couple minutes there, the guy was really harsh on himself. Vic, don't be that harsh on yourself. But it's easy for us to be a jerk to the man in the mirror, right? We see that person every day. We get tired of seeing that person every day. So I completely understand where Vic's coming from. I've never heard of somebody losing weight and then because their scale broke, they ended up putting the weight back on. But that just goes to show you there's a million and one reasons to lose track of your weight and lose track of your dieting. In this case, poor Vic just simply, had a scale that wasn't working anymore, and all of a sudden he was losing track of how much weight he was gaining. It sounds to me like he tried the ketogenic diet. Sounds like to me he didn't really feel it was sustainable. But you can kind of hear at the beginning, he rattled off a list of different foods that he really enjoyed eating, including pastas and stuff. And they made it sound like he couldn't really have any of those. So he probably equated his diet with torture or a punishment of some sort. Anyway, let's continue, see the rest of his thought.
Like it enough for that. This time I want to do it the normal way, without such critical restrictions. I'm addicted to sugar, maybe even food in general. For years I would just eat when I was stressed, and, well, as much as I dislike it, I'll be honest, when I was bored. If there was nothing to do, I'd go to the fridge and check what's in there.
So I'm really glad he said that. It said born on the screen, but he was saying that he really eats when he gets bored. And I completely agree. Many of the times in my life when I've eaten something sweet, it had very little to do with me being hungry. It had everything to do with me wanting to eat junk food because I was bored. And I think that's what happens to a lot of us. So, what's that mean? We could probably fight some of these hunger pangs with a book. Believe it or not, even though I think we stick our face in front of our phones too much, maybe our phone can keep us from snacking a lot, right? But whenever we get bored, I'm just like you, Vic. That's when I want to reach for the cookies and the ice cream. If you agree with Vic that when you get bored, it's easy for you to hit the junk food too, please let us know in the comments.
Oh yeah, a little snack can't hurt. It took me quite some time to figure out why. Of course, at first I had to accept I was addicted. That wasn't really that easy. But I had to figure out the reason. Why would I eat even though I'm not hungry? Why would I eat even though I don't even like the food? And, well, it was to fill an emptiness. A desire I didn't know how to fill otherwise. It didn't make me happy, but at least it made me a bit less dissatisfied. And the cost? Well, you can see it. Finally accepting that was the first step to hopefully get rid of the addiction. Small step, but a critical one. I'm about 2 kilograms now, just by looking out when I eat and keeping myself from eating out of boredom. This ended up in kind of a 16-8 hour fasting rhythm where I simply eat breakfast around 12.
He's got a little bit of a soft voice for those that are walking that may not have heard. He basically decided to change because he started realizing that more than likely his condition could kill him. And obviously that can be pretty sobering. The one advantage Vic has here is it looks like he was just at the university where he lost some weight, what, a little bit over a year ago. And he does have that natural young look. He looks like somebody that's in his mid 20s or maybe even early 20s, unless I'm wrong and all of a sudden he's 30 years old and I heard all that wrong. But even at 30 years old, he looks really, really young in the face, in my opinion. And the one thing he's got going for him, he wants to change. That's got to be a positive thing.
Before that, I'm not hungry, and then I just make sure I eat before evening, foregoing any snacks later than that. And that helped. Of course, 2 kilograms is not much, but it is a critical beginning. I also yesterday had my first official day at the gym. Because, well, I know just by eating less, I wouldn't be able to sustain it. But if I manage to build up muscle additionally, put in a routine, a habit to go to the gym, then that would be incredibly useful.
Vic, I think you're on the right path. I love what he's thinking. If he has it just be a diet, for him, he feels like it's unsustainable. By adding the gym, now that diet becomes 50% of the goal, and working out at the gym becomes the other 50%. That's why I always tell you, just like yesterday, if we can break this into three parts, there's the diet, whatever you put in your mouth, right? But there's also drinking water. Part of the diet would be avoiding sugar, and then the exercise that we do or that I enjoy doing is walking. That way, if there's a day that you don't do the exercise component, you don't do the walking, you can still avoid sugar and you can still eat hopefully decently and drink a lot of water. So right now he's giving himself something in addition to the diet. He's giving himself the ability to go to the gym. Let's see if he talks about how that went.
Still a bit sore, which honestly feels really good. Just going twice, I had the trial day on Monday, was sore until yesterday. My legs hurt the entire week. That was great. It was a good pain. It wasn't, oh, I walk up the stairs and my knee hurt. It was healing pain. And it hurt really good. And finally, I think it's going upwards. I think I can do this. For the first time in my life, I think I can do this. That's what this channel is for.
Amen. And shame on YouTube for not sharing his channel. Please join me. Let's go to Vic Hansen. That's VIKHANSEN. And let's give this guy a subscription, right? Let's subscribe to his channel, watch a couple of his videos, and give him a thumbs up. We're going to watch more than one. We're going to watch one today, but we're going to watch him continuously. I want to see this guy change his life. Tell me you want to see Vic change his life along with us and put it in the comments for me. He's got me fired up. He wants this real bad, and I want it bad for him too. Let's go.
Accountability, responsibility. Give myself that little push when it's 11 p.m. It's cold outside. I really don't want to get up. And then I think of this channel. I think of everyone who watches, who might even support me. And I think such big words are spouted. Do I really want them to be only words? Losing weight is hard. Staying consistent is even harder. So I hope you'll give me a tad of support, maybe in the comments, or maybe leave a like. Or if you want to stay up to date with how I'm hopefully doing, leave me a subscribe. And because I always wanted to try it, when we get to 1,000 subscribers, I'll shave my head.
All right, I like what I'm hearing. I felt a little bit of confidence there at the end. Guys, this video had 0 views. I was the first viewer on this video. Please, let's give Vic Hansen some support. When you're screaming to the world, hear me, I'm in pain and I'm willing to change, starting with the man in the mirror, and nobody reciprocates, that's got to feel like you're on an island. Will you please join me by going to Vic Hansen's channel and subscribe? Let's follow him on this guaranteed to be successful journey. Vic, you've got me. I'm here with you, brother. Let's do this. With that being said, I'm here with you too, brothers and sisters. Let's go get our shoes. Let's go for a walk. Let's do this. All right, here we go. Good morning, everybody. Hey, I wanted to talk to you guys about this Boeing situation. I don't remember the names because, God, I just heard the names, but I don't remember either one of them now. But 2 whistleblowers for Boeing both mysteriously end up dead. One gets this weird infection and dies at age 45, and the first one ends up committing suicide, which seems really weird because the first guy said to his friends and family, don't be surprised if I end up getting suicided out, right? And he said he had no intention of doing that to himself. So it kind of scares me, because it kind of reminds me of, things we hear about Russia. It looks like that stuff happens here in America too. Now, could this be really somebody that committed suicide? And could it be somebody that, really did get ill and pass away? Sure. But I mean, I'm sure we'd agree that 45-year-olds just losing their lives all of a sudden after they become whistleblowers just seems a little bit odd, Gosh, that seems really, really bizarre to me, Could you imagine if a third whistleblower passed away, which apparently there is a third whistleblower that's still alive, but it just seems a little weird that 2 of them have disappeared all of a sudden. If you think that seems really scandalous and really shady and really odd, let me know in the comments. We grow up here in America thinking that we are, this shiny outpost by the sea that just literally does everything right and nothing wrong. And then the older and older I get, the more it looks like we're not that much different than a lot of these other backwards countries, that does these crazy things. And then you find out that a lot of these countries that have a lot of strife around the world, a lot of them are kind of touched by the CIA, and it just makes you wonder, I always thought that America stood for something good in the world, and I'd like to think in my heart that Americans are still very, very much some of the best people in the world. But my goodness, I don't know what to believe anymore. And that's kind of the thought behind my show this morning. What the heck are we supposed to believe anymore? It seems to me like every darn thing that could go wrong or could be awkward or could be weird in America is. And I just find it really kind of find it disturbing. We live in a world where bad things happen all the time. And we're just kind of waking up now to the idea that, God, maybe America's behind half of the bad stuff in the whole world, let alone our country. I feel like we've just got things set up to be kind of an evil country. And I don't like it one bit, and I'm not saying that it's definitely that way. These two whistleblowers could have legitimately died by legitimate means, but God, it sure doesn't look good, does it? It definitely doesn't look good. And my whole life, I always hear about our CIA doing weird stuff all around the world, leading to mass death all around the world. And it just makes you wonder, no wonder so many people and so many countries don't even like us. It doesn't really seem surprising to me. We seem to cause strife and instability all around the world. I heard that California, 1 out of every areas where you can get fuel is now electric. So even though the country doesn't necessarily want to go the route of electric cars too quick, it looks like California's pushing the envelope, and it looks like California is going to be that state in the future where everybody does have electric cars. But even that doesn't make sense. We're told that these electric cars are going to clean up the environment, right? But I'm sure you guys have heard by now that the minerals needed to make these electric batteries a reality are highly toxic and not a very not very good when it comes to eco qualities around the world. Apparently these things are just as toxic and even worse than gasoline powered engine. And do you know how much coal is needed to power the electric grid, which would be needed for everybody in California to have an electric car? So maybe that's their long-term way of dealing with crime and homelessness. They're just going to get to a point where you have to be ultra rich to live out in California. California, to grow up in a country where I thought we were number one, and then to get to the age that I'm at now and realize that our country's not so perfect. As a matter of fact, it might be a little shady. And then California is kind of like the shadiest state in the shadiest country, and that's us. It's really, really disappointing when you read the book and you find out at the end that you're the bad guy. And that's what the book that I read on our country is. You know, we like to tell ourselves that we're the best country that's ever been on the face of the earth. And for most of my life, I believed it. But these last 4, 5, 6 years, I don't know what's up with the world. And this Boeing thing, whether it's a legit situation or whether it is just reality that these people killed themselves and took ill and got sick, but how many 45-year-olds that look as healthy as the guy that did the whistleblowing on Boeing, how many of them end up just randomly taking ill and dying? Now, I know that's a little weird in my case because I described my 44-year-old friend Jason that passed away, but he was legitimate sick. And his sickness had to deal with, a lot of drugs and alcohol that he had done for a majority of his life. Not really drugs, more so alcohol. He might have done some pills and stuff, but I don't know. Do you guys feel the way I do where, maybe for the first 30 or 40 years of your life, you just knew without a shadow of a doubt America was, the light of hope in the darkness. And now I'm starting to realize that the only reason we're the light of hope in the darkness is because we shed darkness upon the whole world, and then we offer them a light bulb, to make up for it. That's what it seems like and feels like to me. Could you imagine going to somebody's house, turning out all the lights, and then you bring them a light bulb and, you're the savior of the house now? That's kind of, or you bring them a flashlight Yeah, that's what America is. We go to people's houses, we turn off the lights, turn off the utilities, and then we hand them a flashlight and we become their savior. It's really, really kind of crooked and evil. Jesse, you sound anti-American. I don't know what happened to this country over the last half dozen years, but it just does not seem nearly like the same country I grew up with. I mean, literally, does the country seem different than it was? I never thought in a million years that I'd be having a talk with people on YouTube about how backwards and shady our country appears. Let's say this Boeing thing is huge. Let's say that there's a lot of planes that are having issues. For a company to potentially knock off people, and I say potentially because again, it could be nothing, I suppose. But to have a situation where people get killed when they're about to testify, wow, that just seems very unreal. That seems like something that you would have only heard about happening in places like Russia, and all of a sudden it's here in our own backyard. There is absolutely nothing that we as individuals seem to be able to do to stop our government from doing whatever the heck it wants to do. And it just seems really, really freaky to me. And I don't know if there's necessarily a way out. I don't think if we change presidents that we necessarily change anything. So if you guys are thinking, oh, he just wants the other guy to come into power, I think this is beyond the presidents, to be honest with you. I think that no matter who's the president, I almost feel like the president is just this person that looks like they're in charge. I feel like we're starting to develop a uniparty type situation. And then the other whistleblower, David Grush, you know, does anyone find it weird that he's a whistleblower that was given the okay to say certain things and then not given the okay to say other things? It's like, that's not a real whistleblower. That's a puppet. So that makes me wonder, like, why was the military allowing him to just say, oh yeah, by the way, we have these UFOs or interdimensional beings? It's some sort of psyop. It's some sort of form of deception. It's disinformation. And I think I know why. I think it's because ultimately the UFOs are military machines on our end. People have started seeing these military machines. They want disclosure. We start to get disclosure, and then they find out at the highest levels, no, these are secret military machines. We're not going to show you anything. And that's why every time it looks like they're going to share some vital information with us, they don't. You're telling me that the best thing we have is 15-year-old pictures in grainy black and white footage of these things that are supposedly popping out of the oceans and stuff? I think what it is I think we secretly have a uniparty. I don't think there's any such thing as Republican or Democrats anymore. I think what we have is a situation where they all just kind of vote together for whatever we as a people don't want. Hi, good morning. Do you think any of us in this country really wanted to see this Russia-Ukraine situation and how crappy it's been for the Ukrainian people? And yet we hold up this Zelensky guy like he's some wonderful character, right? Make it sound, he makes it sound like, hey, don't send me this, send me weapons, I want to fight these guys. That guy looks like a model and a movie star every darn time they show him on TV. To my knowledge, he's still wearing his little G.I. Joe uniform, when in reality, he and his wife are living like millionaires. God, could you imagine your country is dying and you're living richer and fatter than you've ever lived before? That's that Zelensky guy for Ukraine. That is crazy. And I was pro-Ukraine for the first 6 months to a year because I'm thinking, oh my God, Putin's pulling a Hitler and he's trying to take over every adjacent country. And then as you read on and, things change a little and you start to see a little bit of a bigger picture, it's like, no, there was a slice of Ukraine that was kind of ethnically Russian. And all of a sudden, Ukrainians are going into this ethnic part of Ukraine and doing stuff to the Russian people. So Putin ultimately goes in and says, hey, we need to annex this part of Ukraine because these are ethnic Russians that are getting bullied by the country. And all of a sudden we find ourselves in the brink of World War III. It's very scary. That's why people freak out when you hear these stories of rich people that are building bunkers. And by the way, I know that little rant I said makes it sound like I'm anti-American. I really do love this country, and I really don't want to see us as this master evil manipulator in the background. But golly, doesn't it kind of look like that? And after a while, if things look like that and never change and get weirder and more backwards with time, it just looks bad. Looks bad. Like, how do you explain that? How do you explain where everywhere we go and every piece of the world that's touched by our CIA and by our three-letter organizations ends up just going through these endless, never-ending wars? Oh. I've heard a story or a figure, you might have heard this too. I've heard that like over 600,000 Ukrainians have died. Like, at what point do you just say, this thing's got to stop, this war's got to stop? And then, like I said, every time they show Zelensky, the guy looks like a movie star. Well, Jesse, he used to be a movie star. Yeah, back in the day. Apparently, that's how he became president, because he was a movie star? God, that's disturbing. His wife going around, and they're sitting there living like multi-millionaires, shopping with money that we send them, us taking care of their government and their people's retirement plans. Meanwhile, our own people are feeling poorer and poorer than ever. If you guys are happy with that, I don't understand how anybody could be happy with that situation. That's a depressing situation. And then, like I said, the cherry on top is you got this situation where these Boeing airplanes, the door flew off of the Boeing airplane. So you get whistleblowers that say, yeah, you know why that happened? Because of shoddy work situations. People are being lazy, people aren't working, they don't have good protocols for safety. And then the same people that whistleblow get killed. And then the one whistleblower that should be killed, David Grush, this guy talking about top secret military weapons and vehicles, you find out he's not even really a whistleblower. He was given the okay to say every word that came out of his mouth by the military brass. That's just awkward. Everything's bizarre. Everything is like Twilight Zone in this country. I remember a lot of people thought, because of the Mayan calendars, a lot of people thought that we were going to be going through some mass extinction event in 2012. Wouldn't it be interesting if we did kind of jump on another timeline, and that's why everything in the last 10 years or so, or 15 years, has just seemed so bizarre and weird? Wouldn't that be crazy if we all died in 2012? And instead of all of us perishing, we just jumped into a new dimension? That would be crazy. I always hear about this particle collider, CERN, and apparently there's people now that are seeing demon faces on people. And have you heard about this? And they're saying that it's just this weird condition that some people have. But what would you do if all of a sudden you woke up one day and, I don't know, maybe 1 out of every 2 or 3 people had a demon face on them? That would freak me out. And apparently they're all seeing very similar things where people's eyes are all black and their skin features kind of change and contort. And apparently it looks pretty freaky. Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good.
Good. So anyway, I'm not in a bad mood this morning by any means. I just find all this stuff extremely disturbing. You know, when you're a guy that tries to go through life without bothering other people, without doing bad by other people, and every time you look up and every time you turn on the TV and every time you read a news feed, it's something scandalous. It's money being wasted. It's things not going the way they ought to go, right? And it just comes across as really, really odd and frankly disappointing. Okay, so it's lunchtime and you find yourself having a good 15 or 20 minutes where you can go for a walk. The $64,000 question is, do you actually get your shoes on and do it? Or do you just think about it and say maybe next time? That is the question. I have decided to go ahead and get in a little 12-minute walk with you. So start the timer. Let's see if I timed this right. I think it's a 12-minute walk. If it's a little longer, I should still be fine. I just decided that every day at my lunch hour, I could technically take a little walk. I hope you guys are having a beautiful day. So what do we do when sometimes our job bums us out? And I'm not bummed out by my job by any means, but I know some people are kind of stuck working at a place that, you know, isn't exactly their first choice. And if you're in one of these jobs now, I want you to know that I feel for you. Have you ever thought that maybe at your lunch hour, to make it a little bit more bearable, maybe you could go outside of your job and take a little walk? If you're in a downtown area, you know, with a lot of office buildings and heavy traffic, you know, maybe you don't go for a walk, but even if you can just go sit in your car for a little bit, turn on the air conditioning and turn on the tunes, sometimes you can give yourself a little 15 or 20 minute break from, you know, the stresses of work. And if you are stressing out, you know, I hope that things change for you. It's a tough deal if you're stressing out because, you know, maybe you and your coworkers don't always see eye to eye. Try to give people the benefit of the doubt, though. Sometimes when they're a jerk to you, it might be because they're under, you know, a little bit extra stress than normal. If it's just their nature to take things out on you, and you know that that's never gonna change, then maybe it's time to start looking for another job. Or you could always go the confrontation route, right? You can meet with that person and just say, hey, you know, what's going on? I don't want to have to, you know, have our relationship at work be like this forever. Some people are just so nasty and gnarly, you don't even want to have that talk with them, though. So whatever decision you ever have to make on that, you know, just make sure you think about it the best that you can and try to make the best decision for you. I think we've all had jobs like that in the past, right? Where maybe we didn't agree with the supervisor or the manager, or maybe you had co-workers that were constantly complaining or, you know, constantly rude. Those things happen. Sometimes we're the complainer. Sometimes we're the rude person. What's good is that sometimes people do catch themselves and they say, you know what? I've been guilty of being a jerk. And if we had more people that would do that, you know, hey, the world would become a better place. So again, if it's your midday, even if it's a little warm, if the people at work kind of bum you out, and even if they don't bum you out, sometimes you just got a lot of stuff on your mind, unless your boss really frowns upon it, see if you could take a little walk at lunch. What a great way to get in some extra credit. And just because I live in Arizona doesn't necessarily mean you do. You might live in a state where the lunchtime hours are just gorgeous and perfect walking temperatures. If that's the case, even if you have to dress up at work, you could always keep a pair of shoes in your car. Hey, maybe that's the hot tip of the day. Keep an extra pair of walking shoes in your trunk at all times. And that way, if you're ever out and about and you feel like taking a walk, it's as simple as putting on the shoes that are in the trunk of your car. And if you're going to keep shoes in the trunk of your car, why don't you go ahead and keep 1 or 2 extra pairs of ankle socks or tube socks, depending on your style. That would be a smart idea. If you are going to keep shoes and stuff in a car, you might want to also think about keeping a couple bottles of water in your car as well. And before you know it, you got your own mobile walking station right there at the touch of a fingertip, right? Or at your fingertips. So in Arizona, I might be able to walk today because I looked at the temperature, and it looked like it was 84 degrees, and I'm guessing it's about mid-80s. But this is only going to be a window for another 3 or 4 weeks before it's up there in the hundreds during the day. I don't know if you guys remember my first handful of videos that I did, but you probably remember I was wearing a jacket. And what's interesting about when I was wearing those jackets, I kind of thought that I would be wearing them a little bit longer than I did. I felt like I wore them for just a handful of days, and since then it's been t-shirts. I really enjoy wearing jackets when it's cold, obviously, but jackets are fun. The more pockets, the better. Always liked pockets for some reason. Same with Levi. You remember your Levi jeans had the famous 5th pocket? It was like that little tiny pocket that you could keep change or a key in. The secret pocket. I always liked Levi's. But in Arizona, you only have 2 months out of the year where you can even wear pants and stuff. The rest of the year, it's bust out the shorts. Here we go. So yeah, can't talk. Guys, I definitely recommend occasionally busting out in the middle of the day and taking a walk. It's just like the mornings and afternoons. There's nobody out. If anything, more people are inside than ever because it's technically the warm part of the day, right? But if it's not too hot and you keep your eye on the temperatures and you're well hydrated, I say go for it. Any time is as good as another. And for some of you on the East Coast that might be watching my show at 10 a.m. anyway, this just shows you that sometimes I'm walking at those same times. Yay! So anyway, once again, just to kind of summarize, sometimes work can lead to a lot of pressure and stress. Sometimes we feel like we're stuck at work Monday through Friday from 9 to 5, but the reality is most of our jobs allow us to go get something to eat for lunch. There's no reason why you can't pack yourself a sandwich and maybe even eat it while you're taking a little walk. What a great way to nullify the calories of your lunch and break up the monotony of sitting at your desk all day. The more videos I watch on sitting, it looks like that's almost a deadly sin nowadays. So many of us are sitting for 8, 9, 10 hours a day because of work, right? And then when we're at home, we're sitting another 6, 7, 8 hours in the evening, watching TV and unwinding. And then of course we're laying down while we're sleeping as well. So, it sounds to me like the kids are the only people that are up and about walking. And that's why it's kind of a travesty that we have so many kids that instead of playing sports and stuff, they're into watching stuff on their phone and basically being inactive. So remember, there's a million reasons not to walk at lunch, right? There's a million excuses not to. But if you have these perfect windows every now and then, I say, why not go for it? Let's do it, guys. Everybody's starting to do a little extra credit. There's some people that go to the gym at their lunchtime hour. Now, is that dedication or what? If they can go to the gym, if your teammates can do that, then you can occasionally go on a midday walk. No big deal. No big deal. And if you never ever go on a walk before work, you owe it to yourself. Try it. It'll change your life. Because a lot of times when we get to work, we're still half asleep. If you tell yourself, hey, I want to take a 30-minute walk before I leave the house to go to my job, you'll end up enjoying the job more. You'll end up feeling happier. You'll get to a point where you want to start doing extra credit, like walking at lunch. That's what doing extra credit's about. And that's why I've started taking a couple videos of me doing extra credit walks, because I wanted to show you guys that it's really so much more than just a half-hour walk a day. You want to make walking part of your blood, part of your world. Yeah. So anyway, I feel better already. Not that I was feeling down or anything, but I'm telling you, you start walking, and I don't know if you guys can tell, but man, I feel like I'm booking it today, and I'm not even trying. Feels really good out here. I love how my neighbors' yards are nice and green, and the trees are looking really beautiful. Well, beautiful to me where you guys live. You guys have beautiful green areas that I'm so jealous of. Out here in Arizona, all we have is desert landscaping, and it gets a little old to see nothing but brown and gray your whole life. I like to see the colors, the greens. Very pretty. Gorgeous, as a matter of fact. So that's another thing that you can do sometimes. If you're used to walking in the morning when you're half asleep, and all of a sudden you take a walk in the midday, all of a sudden you can really enjoy the neighborhood beauty. The beauty of your neighborhood. There's different color flowers on the cactuses. That looks gorgeous. And look, it's a purple cactus. I'm gonna turn you guys where you can see it. You see those golden flowers by the purple cactus? That is gorgeous. Very pretty. We got mulberry trees, which I believe are the national tree of Canada. I could be wrong. But a lot of people have mulberry trees, a lot of pine trees, a lot of palm trees, of course. God, behind California and Hawaii, we probably have more palm trees than any other state. I have no idea if I'm right or wrong on that, but I just know we have a lot of palm trees out here in Arizona. So, I don't know if you guys timed me. I don't know if that was close to 12 minutes like I thought, but hopefully it wasn't half an hour, which I'm pretty sure it wasn't. But I want to wish you guys a wonderful rest of your day, morning, night, whatever it is. And I'll talk to you soon. Remember, do extra credit. You got this.